Your wife planted something in the greenhouse before she passed, the gardener said on the phone. I was cleaning it out like you asked, and I found a metal box buried under the roses. Mr. Morrison, you need to see this, but don't open it alone. Bring your son and daughter. Mrs. Morrison left a note. She was very specific. I was standing in the parking lot of Mount Pleasant Cemetery in Vancouver, staring at the freshly placed headstone. Eleanor Morrison, beloved wife, mother, and keeper of secrets. It had been exactly 1 year since the cancer took her. 1 year of silence in a house that used to smell of her lavender perfume and freshly baked scones. The February rain was light, barely a mist, but it felt heavy on my shoulders. I was 71 years old, retired from the restaurant business I had built over 4 decades. My joints ached from decades of standing in commercial kitchens, and my heart ached from something far deeper. Behind me, I could hear my children arguing in hushed tones. My son Derek, 47, was checking his phone for the 3rd time in 10 minutes. He was supposed to be the CEO of Morrison's Bistro Group now, the chain of upscale restaurants I had handed over to him 3 years ago. My daughter Vanessa, 44, was texting furiously, her designer umbrella barely covering her perfect blonde highlights. Neither of them had shed a tear at their mother's grave. Dad, we need to wrap this up, Derek said, not bothering to lower his voice. I have a conference call with the investors in an hour. The Whistler expansion is in a critical phase. I clenched my jaw. We were at his mother's memorial, and he was worried about investors. Vanessa sighed loudly. He's right, Dad. Standing in the rain isn't going to bring Mom back. Let's go somewhere warm. I'm freezing. I looked at them, really looked at them. When had they become these people? When had the children who used to help Eleanor in the garden become strangers who counted minutes at her grave? My phone buzzed again. It was Paulo, our gardener of 15 years. He had been with us since we bought the house in Shaughnessy. Eleanor had loved that greenhouse more than any room in our mansion. She spent hours there, even when she was sick. I need to go to the house, I said, turning away from the grave. Paulo found something. Derek rolled his eyes. Found what? Mom's old gardening gloves? Dad, I don't have time for this. He found a box, I said quietly. Your mother left instructions. She wanted all 3 of us there when it's opened. Something flickered across Derek's face. It was quick, almost imperceptible, but I had spent 40 years reading people across negotiating tables. It was fear. Pure, undiluted fear. Vanessa's texting stopped mid-sentence. She looked at her brother, then at me. What kind of box? I don't know. But Paulo said Eleanor was very specific. She wanted you both present. Fine, Derek said, his voice tight. Let's get this over with. But I'm driving. Your truck takes forever. We piled into Derek's BMW X7. The leather was soft, the interior immaculate. It smelled of expensive cologne and something else. Desperation, maybe. I sat in the back, watching my children in the front seats. Derek's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Vanessa kept glancing at him in the rearview mirror, some silent communication passing between them. As we merged onto the highway, I noticed a stack of envelopes in the seat pocket in front of me. The top one was partially visible. Red letterhead. Final notice. I pulled it out before Derek could stop me. Dad, don't touch that, Derek snapped, reaching back with one hand while steering with the other. But I was already reading. It was from the Royal Bank. Final notice of loan default. $2.3 million. What is this, Derek? I asked, my voice low. Why is the bank sending you final notices? Derek's face went pale. It's nothing, just a cash flow issue. The Whistler project ran over budget. We're restructuring. Restructuring, I repeated. With a $2 million default? Vanessa turned around, her face a mask of practiced calm. Dad, you don't understand modern business financing. It's complicated. Derek has it under control. I looked at the letter again. The loan was secured against the downtown Vancouver restaurant location, the flagship Morrison's Bistro. The restaurant I had built with my own hands in 1985. This is secured against the Robson Street property, I said. I still own that building, Derek. I leased it to the company at a discount. How did you use it as collateral without my signature? Silence filled the car like poison gas. Derek pulled into our driveway, the gravel crunching under the expensive tires. The house loomed before us, a beautiful craftsman-style mansion Eleanor had fallen in love with 30 years ago. The greenhouse was at the back, behind the rose garden. Paulo was waiting by the back gate, holding his cap in his hands. He was a small man, weathered by years of outdoor work, but his eyes were sharp. He had been loyal to Eleanor in a way that went beyond employment. She had paid for his daughter's nursing school when no one else would. "Mr. Morrison," Paulo said, nodding at me. He looked at Derek and Vanessa with something close to contempt. I found it exactly where she said it would be. Under the peace roses, the ones she planted the spring before she got sick. We followed him through the garden. The greenhouse stood at the end of the path, its glass walls fogged with condensation. Inside, Eleanor's orchids still bloomed, tended by Paulo with religious devotion. In the center of the greenhouse, on the potting table, sat a metal lockbox. It was old, weathered, the kind you might find in a safety deposit vault. A cream-colored envelope was taped to the top. I recognized Eleanor's handwriting immediately. The elegant loops, the careful spacing. She had always written like she was composing a letter to royalty. The note read, "Open only when Gerald, Derek, and Vanessa are present. The combination is our first date. Do not trust anyone who tries to stop you." Derek stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the box. "Let's just open it and see what Mom left. Probably old photos or something sentimental." "The combination," I murmured, running my fingers over the dial. "Our first date, October 14th, 1973. A rainy Saturday in Victoria. She was a waitress at a cafe near the harbor. I was a young cook with dreams bigger than my wallet. She spilled tea on my only good jacket and laughed about it for 50 years. I turned the dial. The 14th of October, 2073. The lock clicked open. Derek lunged forward, but Paulo stepped between us. The gardener was small, but he was solid, built from decades of physical labor. "Mrs. Morrison said you should see this first, Mr. Morrison," Paulo said, his eyes never leaving Derek. "She said it was important." I lifted the lid. Inside was not what I expected. No jewelry, no old photographs. Instead, I found a USB drive, a thick manila envelope, and a small digital voice recorder, the kind we used to use for taking notes in meetings. At the very bottom, wrapped in tissue paper, was a small glass vial. It was empty, but a label was still attached. The word was partially faded, but I could read it clearly. Digoxin, my heart medication. Derek grabbed for the box. "Give me that, Dad." Mom wasn't thinking clearly at the end. The chemo affected her mind. Whatever's in there is probably just confused rambling. I stepped back, clutching the box to my chest. "Is that so? Then why are you so desperate to take it?" "I'm trying to protect you," Derek said, his charm faltering. "You're 71. You've been through a lot this year. Let me handle whatever mess Mom left behind." Vanessa moved to flank me. "He's right, Dad. You should rest. Give us the box. We'll sort through it and let you know if there's anything important." I looked at my daughter. Her eyes were calculating, measuring the distance between us, assessing whether she could simply take the box from an old man. "Paulo," I said quietly, "would you drive me home? I don't think I want to ride with my children right now." "Of course, Mr. Morrison." I walked past them toward Paulo's old pickup truck. Behind me, I heard Derek hiss at Vanessa. "Do something. We can't let him leave with that." "Dad, wait," Vanessa called out, her voice shifting to a honeyed tone. "Don't be like this. We're just worried about you." Mom was very sick at the end. Her oncologist said the medication made her paranoid. She was accusing nurses of stealing from her room. She thought the government was monitoring her phone. I stopped and turned around. "Eleanor never told me any of this. She told me she felt good. She told me you and Derek were taking such good care of her during the treatments." Vanessa's smile didn't reach her eyes. "We didn't want to worry you. Your heart condition, you know." Dr. Singh said stress could trigger another episode. Dr. Singh. That name again. He had been Derek's golfing buddy for years, long before he became my cardiologist. Eleanor never liked him. She said his eyes were too cold. "I appreciate your concern," I said, climbing into Paulo's truck. "But I think I'll review your mother's things in private. I'll call you tomorrow." Derek stepped forward, his face reddening. "Dad, be reasonable. Those might be corporate documents. Things related to the business. I'm the CEO now. I have a right to review anything that affects the company." I looked at him through the open window. The company I built? The company I gave you? No, Derek. You'll wait until I decide what to do. Paulo started the truck and pulled away. In the side mirror, I watched my children standing in the driveway, their faces twisted with frustration and fear. Mr. Morrison, Paulo said as we drove, Mrs. Morrison made me promise something. If things went bad today, she told me to give you this. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small silver key on a chain. What is this? I asked. She said the USB drive is encrypted, but there's another copy, a backup, in case the first one was destroyed or stolen. He handed me the key. Your wife rented a safety deposit box at a TD Bank in Richmond, under her maiden name, Hughes. This key opens it. Eleanor, even dying, she was 3 steps ahead of everyone else. She had managed our books for 40 years. She knew where every penny went. If she had hidden something this carefully, it meant she had found something worth hiding from. Take me home, Paulo. I have some listening to do. The house was empty when I arrived. I locked every door, checked every window. I drew the curtains in my study and sat down at my desk. The same desk where I had signed the papers to hand the company over to Derek. The same desk where I had signed my new will, leaving everything to my children. I plugged the USB drive into my laptop. A password prompt appeared. I tried Eleanor's birthday. Nothing. I tried our anniversary. Nothing. Then I remembered. The inscription inside her wedding ring. Forever yours, G. The date we picked it out together. June 3rd, 1974. The 3rd of June, 2074. The drive unlocked. There were hundreds of files inside. Bank statements, emails, photographs of documents. And at the top, a folder labeled Listen First. Inside was a single audio file. I pressed play. Static. Then a cough. Then the voice I would recognize anywhere. Gerald, my love. If you're hearing this, I'm gone. And I'm so sorry, not for dying. We both knew that was coming. I'm sorry for what I have to tell you. I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough to say it while I could still hold your hand. I closed my eyes. Tears I didn't know I had left streamed down my face. You think the children are struggling because of the economy, because the restaurant industry is changing. That's what they tell you at Sunday dinners. But it's a lie, Gerald. All of it. Her voice grew stronger, sharper. The voice of the woman who had kept our books balanced for 4 decades. They've been stealing from you. From us. From the company. It started 3 years ago, right after you signed the transfer documents. Derek began moving money to offshore accounts, shell companies in the Cayman Islands. He told the accountants it was tax optimization. It wasn't. I gripped the edge of the desk. Vanessa is worse. She's been selling our art collection, the paintings we bought together in Paris, the sculpture from that gallery in Montreal. She told you they were being cleaned or restored. They were being auctioned. I found the receipts. The recording paused. I heard Eleanor take a shaky breath. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is what they did to me, and what they're planning to do to you. My blood ran cold. 6 months before my diagnosis, I started feeling sick, dizzy spells, heart palpitations, nausea after meals. The same meals Vanessa insisted on bringing over, her special health smoothies, her organic soups. No, I didn't want to believe it, not our children. But I started saving samples. I sent them to a private lab in Seattle. Gerald, they found elevated levels of arsenic. Small doses. Not enough to kill quickly. Just enough to weaken me. To make me sick. To make the cancer spread faster when it came. I couldn't breathe. The room was spinning. Your heart medication. The digoxin Dr. Singh prescribed. I tested those too. The dosage was wrong. Too high. Not enough to kill you immediately, but enough to cause long-term damage. Enough to make you weak and confused so they could claim you're incompetent. I looked at the empty vial in the box. The one Eleanor had saved. The USB drive has everything. Bank records. Lab results. Emails between Derek and his lawyer about having you declared mentally unfit. They've been planning this for 2 years, Gerald. They want the company. They want the house. They want everything we built. Her voice broke. I wanted to tell you. Every day I wanted to tell you. But I was scared. Scared you wouldn't believe me. Scared it would break your heart worse than losing me ever could. So I did what I always do. I kept records. I built a case. And I hid it where only you would find it. Static crackled. Paulo is loyal. He'll protect you. And Sarah Blackwood at Blackwood Law. She's expecting your call. I've already sent her copies of everything. Don't trust anyone else. Not Derek. Not Vanessa. Not Dr. Singh. A long pause. I love you, Gerald. I have loved you since that rainy afternoon in Victoria when I ruined your jacket. Fight for yourself the way you always fought for our family. And when you win, and you will win, build something beautiful from the ashes. Something they can never touch. The recording ended. I sat in the darkness of my study, the weight of 40 years of marriage pressing down on me. My children had poisoned my wife. They had tampered with my medication. They were planning to steal everything and lock me away in some facility where I would be forgotten. The doorbell rang. I froze. It was past 10 at night. No one came calling at this hour. Through the security camera feed on my laptop, I could see who it was. Vanessa. She was alone, standing on the porch with a casserole dish in her hands, her face arranged in an expression of concern. "Dad?" she called out, pressing the bell again. "I brought dinner. I know you haven't been eating properly. Please let me in. I'm worried about you." I did not move. "Dad, I can see the light in your study. I know you're home. Please. I'm sorry about earlier. Derek and I were just stressed. We didn't mean to upset you." I looked at the casserole dish. Another offering of food from the daughter who had slowly poisoned her own mother. I pressed the intercom button. "Leave it on the porch, Vanessa. I'll get it later. I'm not feeling well. Dad, please, just let me come in for a few minutes. I want to talk about Mom. I miss her too." Lies. Every word was a lie. "Good night, Vanessa. I'll call you tomorrow." Silence. Then her voice changed, dropping the honey, revealing the steel beneath. "Dad, if you don't let me in, Derek is going to call Dr. Singh. He's already talked to him about your behavior today. Taking boxes of papers, making wild accusations, refusing to let your own children help you." So that was the play. Exactly what Eleanor had warned me about. If they couldn't get the evidence, they would discredit the man holding it. "Tell Derek I'm fine," I said, "and tell Dr. Singh that I've found a new cardiologist, someone Eleanor recommended before she died." I disconnected the intercom. Through the camera, I watched Vanessa's face transform. The mask of concern dissolved into something ugly, desperate. She stood there for a full minute, her hands clenched around the casserole dish. Then she threw it against the front door. The glass shattered, spraying sauce across the porch. She stormed back to her car and peeled out of the driveway. I did not sleep that night. I spent the hours until dawn reading through Eleanor's files, documenting every transaction, every forged document, every lie. The scale of the theft was staggering. $11 million over 3 years. Derek had siphoned it through fake consulting contracts with companies that existed only on paper. Vanessa had sold artwork and jewelry, funneling the proceeds into personal accounts. But the worst discovery was buried in a subfolder labeled insurance. 3 months before Eleanor died, Derek had taken out a $5 million life insurance policy on me. I was not listed as the beneficiary. The company was, a company Derek controlled. If I died within the policy's first 2 years, they would collect nothing. But after that, any death, even one caused by medication complications, would trigger the payout. They were not just stealing from me. They were planning to kill me, just as they had helped kill Eleanor. At 6 a.m., I called Paulo. "Mr. Morrison, is everything okay?" "No, Paulo, nothing is okay. But it's going to be. I need your help." "Anything, sir." Mrs. Morrison made me promise. "I need to get to that safety deposit box in Richmond, and I need to do it without my children knowing. I'll pick you up in 20 minutes. Use the back gate. I'll watch the street." I gathered the USB drive, the recordings, and Eleanor's envelope. I tucked them into a canvas bag along with my passport and a change of clothes. I didn't know if I would be coming back to this house today. Paulo's truck was waiting in the alley behind the property. He had parked behind a delivery van, invisible from the street. As I climbed in, he handed me a burner phone. "Mrs. Morrison bought this a year ago. She said you might need it. Eleanor." Even from beyond the grave, she was protecting me. We drove to Richmond in silence, taking back roads, avoiding the main highways. Paulo kept checking the mirrors, his jaw tight. "They followed me yesterday," he said. "After I drove you home, a black Audi, Derek's car. He sat outside my house for 2 hours. I'm sorry, Paulo. I never meant to put you in danger. Mr. Morrison, your wife saved my daughter's life. She paid for her education when Maria was ready to give up her dreams. I would walk through fire for that woman's memory. The TD Bank opened at 9. I was waiting at the door. The safety deposit box was small but heavy. Inside, I found copies of everything from the USB drive, plus additional documents Eleanor hadn't trusted to digital storage. Original lab reports, with chain of custody documentation, notarized statements from the private investigator she had hired, and a sealed envelope addressed to the RCMP Financial Crimes Unit. She had built a case that would stand up in any court in Canada. At 10 o'clock, I called the number Eleanor had left for me. Blackwood Law, how may I direct your call? I need to speak with Sarah Blackwood. Tell her Gerald Morrison is calling. Eleanor Morrison's husband. 3 seconds of silence. Then, please hold, Mr. Morrison. Miss Blackwood has been expecting you. Sarah Blackwood was a small woman with gray-streaked hair and eyes that missed nothing. Her office on West Georgia Street overlooked Cole Harbor, but she hadn't decorated it with the view in mind. Every wall was lined with legal volumes and case files. Mr. Morrison, she said, standing to shake my hand. Eleanor sent me a detailed brief 6 months before she passed. I've been waiting for this day. I handed her the canvas bag with all of Eleanor's evidence. They tried to have me committed yesterday, I said. My son called Dr. Singh, my cardiologist. They're planning to claim I'm mentally unfit. Sarah nodded, unsurprised. Eleanor warned me this would be their strategy. She also told me about the medication tampering. We'll need to get you to a new doctor immediately for a full workup, including tests for any substances that shouldn't be in your system. There's more, I said, pulling out the insurance policy. They took out $5 million in life insurance on me. The policy matures next month. Sarah's expression hardened. That changes everything. This isn't just fraud and elder abuse. This is conspiracy to commit murder. She pressed her intercom. Jennifer, cancel my afternoon. And get Detective Morrison at the RCMP Integrated Financial Crime Unit. Tell him we have a priority alpha. She turned back to me. Gerald, we need to set a trap. We need them to incriminate themselves on record. Are you willing to do that? I thought about Eleanor. I thought about the 50 years she gave me. I thought about the greenhouse where she spent her last good days, planting roses she knew she would never see bloom. Tell me what I have to do. The trap was set for the following evening. I called Derek on the burner phone, letting my voice quaver and break. Derek, it's Dad. I think you were right. I'm confused. I've been so confused since your mother died. I found her papers, and I don't understand any of it. Numbers and accounts, and I don't know what any of it means. Derek's voice shifted immediately to that soothing, patronizing tone. Dad, it's okay. We can help you. Where are you? I'm at the house. I haven't slept. I keep hearing your mother's voice. I think maybe I do need help. Maybe Dr. Singh was right. Stay there, Dad. Vanessa and I are coming over. We'll sort everything out. And Dad, those papers Mom left. Where are they? In my study. On the desk. I tried to read them, but they don't make sense. Everything's confused. We'll be there in 30 minutes. Don't go anywhere. And Dad, don't call anyone else. Let's keep this in the family. I hung up and looked at Sarah Blackwood. She was sitting in my living room with 2 plainclothes RCMP officers. Paulo was stationed at the back door. A surveillance van was parked down the street, recording everything. You did well, Sarah said. They'll be expecting a confused old man. They'll be overconfident. I've been underestimated my whole life, I said, straightening my shoulders. It's time they learned what that feels like. 28 minutes later, Derek's BMW pulled into the driveway. He was driving. Vanessa was in the passenger seat. A third person sat in the back, a tall man with silver hair I recognized immediately. Dr. Singh. They had brought the doctor. They were planning to sedate me and have me declared incompetent tonight. I took my position in the study. The desk lamp was the only light, casting long shadows across the room. The Phoenix files, as Sarah called them, were spread across the desk in organized chaos. I slumped in my chair, letting my mouth hang open slightly. The front door opened. I had left it unlocked. Heavy footsteps in the hallway. Derek's voice, low and urgent. He sounded really bad on the phone. Dr. Singh, be ready with the sedative if he gets agitated. They entered the study. Derek first, then Vanessa, Then the doctor carrying a medical bag. Derek's eyes went straight to the papers on the desk. He couldn't hide the relief on his face. "Dad," he said, walking over and putting a hand on my shoulder. "We're here. Everything's going to be okay now." "Derek," I mumbled, keeping my voice weak. "I don't understand. The numbers. Your mother's numbers. They don't make sense." "That's because you're not well, Dad." Vanessa circled around to my other side, trapping me between them. Mom was sick at the end. Her mind was affected. Whatever she wrote down wasn't reliable. Dr. Singh opened his bag and pulled out a syringe. "Mr. Morrison, I'm going to give you something to help you relax. You've been under tremendous stress." I looked at the syringe. "What is it?" "Just a mild sedative. It'll help you sleep." "The same kind of help you've been giving me with my heart medication?" I asked, my voice suddenly clear. The room went still. Derek's grip on my shoulder tightened. "What are you talking about?" I reached into my pocket and pulled out the original vial Eleanor had saved, the one with the digoxin label. "Eleanor tested my pills, Derek. Before she died, she tested everything you've been giving me." "Dad, you're confused." Vanessa's voice was rising. Mom was paranoid. The cancer treatments made her see conspiracies everywhere. "Did the cancer treatments also make her find the $11 million you stole from the company? Did they make her discover the shell companies in the Caymans? Did they make her find the life insurance policy you took out on me?" Derek released my shoulder and stepped back. His face had gone white. Dr. Singh lowered the syringe. "Derek, what is he talking about?" "Nothing." Derek's voice cracked. "He's senile. He's delusional. Just sedate him so we can get him to the facility." I stood up. The motion was fluid, strong. I was not the frail old man they expected. "The facility in Abbotsford?" I asked. "The one that costs $800 a month and smells like disinfectant and despair? Is that where you were planning to leave me while you sold my house and collected my life insurance?" "How do you know about that?" Vanessa whispered. I reached over to my laptop and pressed play on a video file. The screen filled with an image of Derek in his kitchen, talking on the phone. "The old man won't last 6 months once we get him out of the house," Derek's recorded voice said. "Dr. Singh says the medication adjustments will accelerate his decline. Natural causes, no investigation, clean inheritance." In the study, Derek lunged for the laptop. "Turn that off!" But another voice cut through the room. "RCMP. Nobody move." The two plainclothes officers emerged from the shadows. Paulo stepped in from the hallway, blocking the exit. Sarah Blackwood entered behind him, her phone recording everything. Derek spun around wildly. "This is entrapment. You can't use this." "Actually," Sarah said calmly, "everything was recorded with the consent of the property owner. That's Mr. Morrison. And since you entered his home with intent to unlawfully sedate and kidnap him, I think you'll find the courts will be very interested in what we've documented." Vanessa made a break for the back door. She didn't get 3 steps before Paulo intercepted her, his gardener's hands gentle but immovable. "Mrs. Morrison told me you might try to run," Paulo said. "She asked me to make sure you stayed for the whole show." Dr. Singh dropped his medical bag and raised his hands. "I want a lawyer. I'm not saying anything without a lawyer. Derek told me the father was a danger to himself. I was just providing medical assistance." The lead officer snapped handcuffs on Derek's wrists. "Derek Morrison, you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, and conspiracy to administer a noxious substance. You have the right to retain and instruct counsel without delay." Derek struggled against the restraints. "Dad, you can't do this. We're your children. We're family." I walked over to him. I looked into the eyes of the boy I had taught to ride a bike, the young man whose wedding I had paid for, the son I had handed my life's work on a silver platter. "You stopped being my family," I said quietly, "the day you decided to kill your mother and steal my legacy. Eleanor knew what you were. She saw it before I did, and she made sure I would have everything I needed to stop you." They took Derek, Vanessa, and Dr. Singh away in separate police vehicles. The neighbors came out to watch, but I didn't care about whispers or reputation anymore. That night, I sat in Eleanor's greenhouse, surrounded by her orchids and her roses. Paulo had left me alone with a cup of tea and a promise to check on me in the morning. The phone Sarah had given me buzzed with a text. "Preliminary charges filed. Bail denied due to flight risk. Trial date in 3 months. Rest well, Gerald. You did it." I looked up through the glass ceiling at the stars. "We did it, Eleanor," I whispered. "You did most of the work. I just followed your instructions. The criminal trial lasted 6 weeks. The evidence Eleanor had compiled was overwhelming. Bank records, lab results, recorded conversations, documented forgeries. Derek received 12 years for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to commit bodily harm. His lawyer argued for leniency, but the judge was unmoved. The defendant systematically betrayed every trust his parents placed in him, she said. He exploited his position as a son and as a CEO to steal from his own family and conspire to harm his own father. The court finds no mitigating circumstances. Vanessa got 8 years. She tried to blame everything on Derek, claiming she was just following her brother's lead. But the evidence showed she had been an equal partner in the scheme. The art sales alone had netted her over $2 million. Dr. Singh lost his medical license and received 4 years for his role in the medication tampering. He cried in court, claiming he never meant to hurt anyone. But the lab reports showed he had been adjusting my dosage for 18 months, slowly poisoning me the same way Eleanor had been poisoned. After the verdicts, I stood outside the courthouse. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed. I said nothing. I walked to Paulo's truck and drove home. The house felt different now. Not empty, but waiting. Waiting for something new to fill the spaces where my old life used to live. I sold the restaurant chain. All of it. The name Morrison's Bistro no longer felt like a legacy worth preserving. It felt like a reminder of everything that had gone wrong. With the proceeds, I did what Eleanor had asked. I built something beautiful from the ashes. The Eleanor Morrison Culinary Institute opened 14 months after the trial. It occupied the entire ground floor of our Robson Street building, the one Derek had tried to use as collateral for his debts. The program offered free training to young people from disadvantaged backgrounds, teaching them the skills I had spent 50 years mastering. Paulo became the director of facilities. His daughter Maria, now a registered nurse, volunteered 2 days a week, teaching nutrition and food safety. And in the garden behind the institute, we planted a rose garden. Peace roses, the same variety Eleanor had used to hide her final gift to me. 3 years after the arrests, I received a letter from Vanessa. She was up for early parole and wanted to meet. She wanted to apologize. She wanted a second chance. I wrote back a single line. Some bridges, once burned, cannot be rebuilt. I forgive you for my own peace, but I will never trust you again. Derek never wrote. I heard through lawyers that he had found religion in prison, that he was counseling other inmates, that he had changed. Maybe he had. But some betrayals cut too deep for reconciliation. On the 5th anniversary of Eleanor's death, I returned to her grave with a bouquet of peace roses from our garden. I sat on the bench beside her headstone and told her everything. The institute graduated its 100th student last week, I said. A young woman from the downtown east side. She reminded me of you. That same fire in her eyes. The wind rustled through the cemetery trees. Paulo's daughter got married. I walked her down the aisle. Her father was too emotional to do it. She asked me to stand in, said I was family. I wiped my eyes. I miss you every day, Eleanor. But I understand now why you did what you did, why you kept records instead of confronting them, why you built a case instead of having a conversation. You knew they were too far gone for words. You knew I would need proof I couldn't ignore. I placed the roses against her headstone. Thank you for seeing the truth when I was too blind to look. Thank you for protecting me even after you couldn't protect yourself. And thank you for teaching me that real family isn't about blood. It's about loyalty. It's about sacrifice. It's about the people who stand with you when standing costs them something. I stood up, my joints aching, my heart full. Rest well, my love. I'll keep building. I'll keep the garden growing. And when my time comes, I'll have something to show you. Something good that came from all this pain. The sun was setting over the mountains as I walked back to Paulo's truck. The old gardener was waiting, patient as always. Everything okay, Mr. Morrison? Everything is exactly as it should be, Paulo. Let's go home. As we drove away, I thought about the lesson Eleanor had taught me, the hardest lesson of my 76 years. We are taught that blood is thicker than water. We are taught that family comes first, that our children are extensions of ourselves, that forgiveness should be endless because the bonds are unbreakable. But Eleanor taught me a different truth. She taught me that trust is not given by birthright. It is earned through actions, proven through sacrifice, tested through adversity. She taught me that sometimes the people who share your name are the greatest threats to your safety, and sometimes the people who trim your hedges become the family you never knew you needed. She taught me that protecting yourself from those who wish you harm is not betrayal. It is survival, and sometimes survival means cutting away the diseased branch to save the tree. If you are watching this and recognizing patterns in your own family, if you see the small betrayals that signal larger ones to come, I want you to know that you are not alone. Document everything. Trust your instincts. Seek help from those who have earned your trust, not those who demand it. And remember, your legacy is not defined by what you leave to your children. It is defined by what you build for the world. Make it something beautiful. Make it something that matters. If this story brought you any clarity or comfort, please like and subscribe to Golden Vengeance. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And tell me in the comments, have you ever had to protect yourself from the people who were supposed to protect you?